All right, guys, Sumner Healey here. You are about to watch, I think, like an hour plus long presentation I did at the LIA 2024 Mastermind. Now, this is the only lecture that we are releasing for free on YouTube this year. As these events grow and they get better, they also cost more. And frankly, we lose a lot of money on every single event. So this year, we are releasing access to get all of the guest lecture presentations, all of the hot seat conversations for $399. It's a steal. You're going to hear from people like Ajay Sharma, Jerry Dalglish, first time he's ever spoken on stage, which is crazy, John Jasniak, Dennis Yasko, Meir Shemtov, Michael Bull, Rylan Lode, right? The list goes on. It's an incredible lineup that we have. I'm going to put the link down below for you guys. It's landinvestor.co/mastermind to get access. Now, the reason that we're doing this is to afford to keep on running these events. These are six-figure events and they cost a lot of money and we lose a lot of money, but also to continue to make them better over time. I think subtly too, hopefully we create a bit of a reverse incentive where you say, you know what, instead of buying the recordings, I'm just gonna show up next year. I'm gonna just get my butt there in person, because while the content's amazing, while the content's the same, the real magic of events is not just the guest presentations. It's who you meet in between the presentations, in the hallways, the connections that you make, the friendships that you make, and the resetting of what you think is possible for yourself. Kind of reframing, holy cow, these people are no different than me and they're doing exponentially better than me. That should excite you. So I want to see you there next year. Enjoy my presentation. It's all about building a team in your land business, the trials, the tribulations, what's working for me right now, what I've done wrong and what isn't working. I think you'll really enjoy it. All right, guys, we'll see you on the inside. Take care.
All right, guys. Land Investing Leadership for Dummies. Written by a dummy, for dummies. Has anyone ever been to an event where they've talked about this stuff? I wanted to keep it fresh and interesting. Has anyone ever covered this? No? Cool. That's what I wanted to hear. There's so much that we could talk about. Everyone talks about roughly the same things. It's valuable, and there's always new folks here, and sometimes you need something reinforced a few times to really understand it. But I wanted to bring something fresh and different. And it seems like at every event I go to, everyone always talks about competition. It's like, where's the business going to be in 5 years or 10 years? And there's strategies that matter, and you got to make some pivots. But there's one thing I can guarantee you: if you have a shitty team, you're not going to be in the business for very long. Like, essentially, your team is the business. And so learning how to build an amazing team is really important. Learning how to lead a team is really important. Who here has interacted with someone like Ari or Juan or Newman or Aries or any of those people? Raise your hand. Any of those people? Justin. What do you think of them? Are they impressive? Are they helpful? Awesome? I hear that all the time. They're like, dude, I don't know how you work with such cool people. And frankly, I didn't even really know how until I started sitting down and trying to break this stuff down for this presentation. And none of what I do would be possible without those people. And there's many others, to be honest, but those are the folks that you guys probably know here. And so this is going to be a special topic. Let me see if I can get this clicker right here. It's a long presentation. It should take us about 45 minutes, and I apologize in advance, but I really hope this is the most important presentation maybe you will ever receive, or at least that you've received in recent times, because I think most people here are probably 6 to 12 months to building a team, or maybe you already have a team. And when I look at most people's team in their land business, it's lackluster to say the least. All right, let's kick things off. Question. Anyone know what business we're in? Sales and marketing. Who said people? So smart, Mike. And that's why Mike's a savage. Mike is 6 months in and he has never once lost sight of the fact that we're in a people business. Now there's two sides to this coin. Everyone likes to babble on that we're in a sales and marketing business, but I'm really a first principles kind of guy. And first principles thinking tells us that we're actually first and foremost in the people business. If you distill down every component of running a land business, it always loops back to people. It's just that simple. And there's two sides to the people business coin. Now what Mike's talking about is the external side, and this is the side that everyone likes to talk about, okay? Today we're going to take it in a different direction. So there's the internal side, which gets exactly zero love from just about everyone. I've never had anyone teach me this stuff or talk about it. And there's the external side of the people business. This is what everyone likes to talk about. This is how to find sellers, how to find buyers, how to find realtors. And pretty much every event you go to, this is what people talk about. And it's important. And again, your people skills matter here. But what about on the internal side? So today we're going to be talking about the internal side, as you guys probably guessed, aka how to build a world-class land investing team and how to actually become a leader, whatever the hell that means. There's a saying that I love. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. You guys have probably heard that one before. Does anyone know whose quote this actually is, though? I'm sure everyone's probably heard it. Whose quote is this? Anyone? No, it's not mine. It's not mine. But it will be after this event because literally everyone rips this quote off. Warren Buffett says it's his. Hillary Clinton says it's hers. Cory Booker, Al Gore, everyone's taking credit for this quote because it's so damn good. This is actually a quote that comes from ancient Africa. It's a proverb. And what I've learned is that time-tested advice is usually accurate, even if it's trite, if it's cliche. All those things that your mom used to tell you that's gone down from generation after generation after generation is usually accurate. And that saying is so true in my opinion. I don't think you can build anything big and anything impactful without people. And I love people. I love people. And that's really the only thing I'm good at, honestly, is people. And so I'm excited to share that with you here today, okay? Yeah, it's almost always correct. All that trite stuff, it's usually accurate. So here's my promise to you today. You're going to learn, 1, how to become a leader worth listening to, and 2, how I lead my land business, the best practices I've learned along the way, and maybe a third thing. Would you guys like it if I also shared all the mistakes I've made running my team, all the leadership mistakes? Would that be helpful? All right. There's a lot of them. We'll be here for a while. That's my bonus to you guys here today. If you guys don't like it, I'll give you your money back. But first, there's some bad news I have to deliver to you. I always like starting with bad news, so let's get it over with. And this is it. You first must become someone worth listening to. What does that mean? And becoming this person is actually rather simple, but like most things in life, it's certainly not easy. That's the land business in a nutshell. Super simple, super not easy. So it boils down to a framework called self-actualization. Who's heard of self-actualization? Boom, boom, boom. Not that many people. Okay, a few people. Cool. All right. And according to ChatGPT, just like what John Jasniak did, I'm going to have ChatGPT define it for us. Let's see how ChatGPT defines self-actualization. Definition: self-actualization is a process of discovering one's abilities, developing skills, and using them to become the best version of oneself. That's okay. Let's take it one step further. What are the characteristics? Self-actualized people are creative, have a sense of justice, and appreciate life's positive moments. They may also have a mission or cause they dedicate their lives to. That last point is really, really, really important. So this is kind of like a ripoff of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Self-actualization's at the top. Most of us in the origin of human history are playing the physiological needs game: food, water, warmth, rest. Hopefully everyone here is beyond that. And if you're not, come find me. I want to make sure you're taken care of. Next, safety needs, security, safety. All right, can we fend ourselves off from other human beings? Can we fend off from wild beasts kind of attack us in the cave at night? You know, simple things. We're not thinking about self-actualization at this point. The next is belongingness and love needs, right? Do I have friends? Do I have intimate relationships? And I've pretty much gone through all of these, starting from like security and safety, and worked my way up. Luckily, I always had my physiological needs met. Next is esteem needs, prestige and feeling of accomplishment. And at the tippy top is self-actualization, achieving one's full potential, including creative activities. Now, it's kind of generic, and I'm going to touch on that a little bit deeper, okay? So the 2 huge takeaways from this. 1, you must be pursuing your highest potential in all facets. Simple, right? 2, you must have a mission. The actual mission matters little, but you need something to dedicate your life to, something that you're actively pursuing. And a lot of this, I think it's about the act of pursuing it, and less so having become it and solved all these things. And frankly, I don't think anyone's figured out all of this stuff, but it's the act of pursuing it that's important. By harnessing this, you become a literal energetic magnet. And that's a little woo-woo for some of you guys, but I'm going to explain why this is true. Your energy becomes contagious, and it's because secretly we all want to feel this. This is a deep human desire. It's a deep human need. We all want to feel this. And a lot of us might not be at a place where we've started to feel that yet, but in my uneducated and anecdotal opinion, to become or to even attempt becoming self-actualized is a deep human desire. We all want it, but most of us aren't going to do it on our own, and we need others to help bring it out of us. And ultimately, in my opinion, this is the role of a great leader. You're helping recognize someone else's potential, and you're bringing it out of them. And they actually listen to you because you're doing it yourself. You're pursuing a mission. You're pursuing becoming the best version of yourself. Like, you could be walking down the street, and no disrespect to anyone that's homeless, but a homeless guy could say, I think you're going to be an amazing land investor, and it probably doesn't really resonate, right? Coming from someone that's actually self-actualized or pursuing that, that hits home. That feedback actually resonates, and you might actually take action on that, and you might actually start to become self-actualized yourself. Here are the 6 must-haves for self-actualization. So you got a lot of that stuff that we've talked about is kind of airy-fairy, so let's break it down. 1, you need to feel good about yourself. 2, you need to contribute. 3, you need to take risks. 4, you have to have value recognized. 5, you need to nurture. And 6, you need to leave the world a better place. Now, how you actually get there matters little. Like, I've used weird random vehicles to achieve those things in my life. And again, I'm a work in progress. I don't want to pretend like I have that all figured out, but I'm actively pursuing that every single day. To feel good about myself, it started with something really simple. Does anyone know what it was? Anyone? Breath work? No, it wasn't breath work. No. I've talked about it before. I was 17 years old and I started going to the gym. It's so stupid, right? So stupid. It's kind of obnoxious. It seems superficial. People give you flack for it. And I understand if you're doing it for the wrong reasons, it certainly is. But to finally see some evidence of your life that you're capable of something is a really fucking big deal. I don't care who you are. That was the first time I ever felt good about myself. Prior to that, there was no evidence that I was worthy. I mean, I had a loving mom, and I thank God for her. That was my rock. But I was a D student. I wasn't good at any sports. I had a really fucking bad speech impediment. I got held back a grade. I had a really hard time making friends. I ate my lunch in the high school bathroom for my whole entire freshman year. As an adult, in my early 20s, I struggled to make friends. Like, that was the first time I ever got a little dose of the fact that I was actually capable of something, you know? To contribute. The first time I ever actually felt like I was contributing, I started delivering food to old people. And I felt like I was actually doing a little something in the world that might have been meaningful, because honestly, selling land is not meaningful at all. I don't care what anyone tells you. So I had a little bit of time on my hands, and I felt like there was a void in my life. And so I said, I'm going to pick up a job, I guess, at Meals on Wheels and start delivering meals to take risks. I left my job when I was 24 years old and put everything on the line, which wasn't much at the time, but I was taking risks, right? To have your value recognized. I mean, luckily I'm in a room with folks that give me positive feedback, and that matters. We all need that. We need to have friends or peers or colleagues or people that we work with that give you your accolades. I think that's a human need that we all have. And it's like on weekends like this that I feel so fortunate to have people around me that aren't scared to lift me up, and vice versa. I think that matters a lot. A partner that does that, friends that do that. To nurture. Well, having a partner definitely allows me to nurture. When I felt like I was nurturing the most, as some of you guys know, I had a beautiful little English bulldog. I got her pretty much exactly a year ago, November of last year. Unfortunately, she passed away in April. It was our big dream to have her here at this event, and that was my baby. You know, I was nurturing. That felt like my first step in terms of actually being paternal, and that was my nurturing moment, and it reinforced how much I want to have kids. 6, to leave the world a better place. I'm still figuring out how I'm doing that. Honestly, I don't know if I'm really doing that. I think that like my impact is minuscule, and this is an area I want to improve on. I feel called to give my time. I mean, I think giving money is important, but something that I've continued to feel called to do is to go in foreign countries and either help teach English or help build infrastructure, whether that's in Bali where I live now or what have you. That's something that I feel called to do. It's not something I'm currently taking action on. So of course, I'm still much a work in progress. So my question to you is, are you currently walking the path to becoming self-actualized? No one want to raise their hand? Who feels like they are? Jerry? Cool. I appreciate the honesty. Sweet. Matt, Seb, awesome. If not, the rest of the tactics we're going to cover here today honestly won't do much for you, right? Everyone loves the framework and the strategies and the tactics, but this is the baseline. This is the bedrock. Everything's built on top of this when you're dealing with other people. Now, I'm going to assume that you guys are willing to work on this. So we're still going to touch on the practical stuff today. That's what you guys want, and we're going to go deep. But please, 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 if you're not pursuing this, give it a go. It'll make every area of your life better. But first, my number one team building regret. I'm going to go on a rant here for a little bit. If I could do it all over again, this is the one thing that I would correct. And I talked to us a little bit earlier. Building my entire team remote from me was the worst mistake I've ever made. I'll talk about why. It's the way of the world these days, but if I could do it all over again, I'd make sure that at least 50% of the people I work with live local to me. I look at folks like Ajay, who gets to work with Ben, and I look at that and I say, that's a duo that's really hard to compete with. Right? That's a moat around their business that's going to be really hard for you to penetrate. The energy that they have when they work together, I'm sure is contagious, right? Would you say so? Who else has that? Who else gets to work with people local to them? Somebody, yeah, you and John definitely have it. You have it? What do you have? Do you have a team member or a business partner? Business partner. Sweet. You got it. Yeah. I would say the husband and wife dynamic might be different, but hey, it's better than nothing, I'm sure. My heart goes out to the husband and wife duos. I am impressed by you guys constantly. I love Sarah dearly, but I could not work with her. That's just the truth. Or she couldn't work with me. I don't know, one of the two. So there's an incredible motivational feedback loop that is created when you get to work and connect belly to belly with your team. I'm obsessed with feedback loops. They're happening all the time without us recognizing it. They're actually either working for you or they're working against you. And when you're with, have you guys ever worked, even an event like this, like we were just masterminding upstairs. How did you guys feel when you left that? The guys and gals that were up there, how did you feel when you left that? Anyone want to speak up? You feel better, Matt? What did you feel like?
I got a lot of great information, things that I can move forward with,
Yeah.
my business, just to see other people need help.
Yeah.
Inspired to know that of what's possible.
Inspired to know what's possible. Anyone else?
Half the answers apply to me.
Yeah. It's a little different in an education setting, but I think some of it still carries over. Do you guys ever feel like the sum is greater than the parts kind of thing? Like two people in the same room is like the output 6 or something ridiculous like that. It doesn't even make sense. There's some like weird mind melding that happens and some kind of energetic transfer that I simply can't explain, but there's a magic that happens. Even when I'm hanging out with Rylan and Ryan and we're just there together. We're not business partners per se, but there's an energy that happens. There's an inspiration that's transferred, and it's not even deliberate. It just happens, man. There's a guy in here that's going to be speaking tomorrow. His name's Coach. He's in the back room back there. And this is something that I think I knew, but Coach really reinforced it to me. Coach is inside of LIA, and he was actually working with us on the sales side for a time. Justin was away proposing in Italy. Congrats. And so Coach filled the void, and he was so inspired to start his own land business that he literally moved to Bali with us for a month and a half just to be around, just to be together, just to learn. And I feel like you hold that in such a high regard and you respect that. You've moved across the country for a job just to be closer to people. And I feel like few people understand that. I've learned that from you, and it's been impactful in my life. So the feedback loop of working together. But there's an even bigger hidden benefit. You see, the vast majority of your results in this business will come from time in the game. I think it was John Jasniak that said it, something along the lines, it's like the longer you stay in this business, the luckier you get. Anyone else feel that way that's been in this game for a while? Jerry, I'm sure you feel it. Ajay feels it. Yeah, it's weird, man. Like, it's just like, I can't explain it. Things just start working better the longer you stick around. So how the hell do we engineer a system to where we never leave? How can we stay in the game? Let's talk about that. Come on, clicker. This business is much like going to the gym. I had to pull on the gym analogy. I'm sorry, guys. It's just too good. You can't cheat the need for having a high quantity of quality reps. Lost my train of thought for a second. So I'm going to show something here. Now, it's from a long time ago, so it's okay if I show this. If it was more recent, it'd be a little weird, and I'll tell you guys why here in a second. I was 17 in that photo. Some people would say I look like a string bean, a spaghetti noodle, a lamppost, I don't know, a lot of things that are vertical and narrow. It's pretty much what I look like, right? And I hesitate even clicking this next slide. But again, this was from 2017 when I posted this on Instagram, so it's okay. That was fast forward 5 years later. And what happened was, thank you. The only thing that happened was a high quantity of quality reps. It's just that fucking simple, right? And like the parallels between your business, especially this business, which is just like an input-output game, direct response, it's really bare bones, is just that. The same frameworks you would use in the gym apply to this business one-to-one. There's no area where it doesn't actually carry over. And this has served me probably better than any other education I've ever gotten in the business space, is just following the same blueprint that I learned here. To have quality, you first need quantity. And to have a high quantity, you need time. Now, one thing that I'll say about that photo, this is what's so weird about results. So it was a 5-year difference. And again, this is not a fitness expo, but I'm going to use it as an analogy. It was a 5-year difference in between there. The vast majority of those results came in a 1.5 year period, back-weighted at the very end. So I spent about 3.5 years not making really any progress. At that time, I was living in my hometown off and on. I was living in San Luis Obispo. I had no one that I worked out to go to the gym with. I would just go by myself. My results were lackluster. At the 3.5 year mark or whatever it was, somewhere around that time, I moved to San Diego and I moved into a house full of 6 other guys, and we all would work out together. We actually created a little gym in our garage. 6 guys working out. What happens when 6 of us get together? Well, you push each other, you go further. You want to see what you're capable of, and you learn things. Sometimes it's just subconscious. You just pick on things of how they do it differently and how you could apply it. And sometimes it's really deliberate. We're swapping muscle building strategies or whatever it were. And so that, again, that really applies to your business. But here's the problem. Most people never make it here due to self-inflicted wounds. I've seen it. There's a graveyard of failed land investors. And there's for a lot of reasons. Sometimes bad hand, whoops. Sometimes it's just not the business for you, and that's fine. But a lot of it comes down to this. It comes down to the fact that people are losing the meaning or fulfillment within their work. Who's ever felt like this business was kind of like, it's just not that fulfilling? Anyone ever felt that? John, yeah. Anyone that's been in it for a while, Rylan, John, of course. I still feel that from time to time, but I felt that hardcore in 2022 to the point where I started another business. And that was all for a need of trying to find some damn fulfillment. So they throw in the towel, they go down another path, and they start a new business. I'm certainly guilty of this, and hopefully you can learn from my mistakes. Now, I'm happy in the place that I'm in today, but a lot of it, I was just chasing fulfillment, and I didn't realize I was structuring my business in the wrong way. I had the wrong team. I wasn't with people that I actually enjoyed their company. I didn't have any level of culture in my business. And now, fast forward, I've been in the business since 2019, so about 5.5, 6 years, coming up on 6 years. I feel more excited about the land business than I ever have felt before. And it all comes down to my team. At times, I've been extremely lonely in this business. That whole delivering Meals on Wheels thing, that was 2022, peak of my loneliness. And this business is weird. Once you cross a certain threshold, you have more time on your hands than you know what to do with. It's weird. You go from 2 to 3 years of just grinding, and there's this weird period where what do I do? And I felt no inspiration or motivation to continue on growing it, because I wasn't fulfilled. I wasn't inspired by the business. And so I had ample time to put it towards the business, but I wouldn't because I was just disinterested. I wasn't excited. And so for a very long time, I thought it's because I had fallen out of love for the land business. The truth is, the land business will never and will never be inherently fulfilling. It's just not a fulfilling business. You are moving paper to buy and sell dirt. It's not that exciting. And you do some good in the world. You provide liquidity to folks that need to sell, and hopefully you find a nice piece of land, and maybe you make your funder some money, but it's just not that exciting, honestly. But you know what is fulfilling? These 4 things. And these are the 4 things that have kind of reset my love for the land business. And these are 4 things that I've carried over into the other businesses that I've been working on. And I've done it right this time, I feel like. And I have so much love and passion for the things that I'm doing today. 1, doing challenging things with people you appreciate. This is the weirdest human phenomenon. What if I grabbed someone from this crowd and said, you have to do a marathon tonight? What would you say? What would you say? You'd say, hell no. And if you did do it, you'd say that was one of the worst nights of my life. Damn you, Sumner. I'm never coming to one of these events ever again. But what if I said, tonight we're all running a marathon? That might be one of the best nights of your life. It might be hard, but you might leave that night and say, damn, I love those people. That was a night I'll never forget. There's a weird thing about humans. We love doing hard things together. We hate doing hard things on our own. But together, it's magical. It becomes fun. I really think that you just can't do big things in life alone. I just think it's impossible. 2, witnessing people level up and become better because of what their role demands of them. Few things are more gratifying than seeing folks rise to the occasion within their role. That's exciting. Justin, have you felt that on some level? Juan, have you felt that on some level? I don't know. Where is Juan? Have you felt that, Juan? I know we've gone through that together. And for me, it's so gratifying to see you guys rise to the occasion. We go through bumps in the road and we have moments where we both question things. But seeing folks actually rise to the occasion is beautiful, and it provides meaning to your work. You're doing it together. 3, having companionship and close allies to talk about this business with. That's why we're all here. This business is so lonely if you don't have other people to talk about it with, right? 4, seeing what you created help to permanently change the financial destiny of those you work with. At a certain point, more money in your bank account is just diminishing returns. It's just not that exciting. But seeing your team make money, seeing your team change your life, that's exciting. And this business is super profitable. It's not super fulfilling, but it's super profitable. So you can do that. The vast majority of your level of fulfillment loops back to who you work with and your proximity to them. If I could do it all over again, I would have stayed closer to the nucleus of my team and business. Because your level of fulfillment dictates your staying power. Who wants to be here for a long time? Hell yeah. Do you guys feel like you can't do that alone, though? Feel like you need a good team around you? And again, I think that's why people join communities. Like a lot of folks don't even join just because they need education. They need camaraderie, they need companionship, and they go further because of it. And that's the weirdest thing. Some folks join LIA and they take 5% of what we teach, but they still grow because they're there for the camaraderie, and it matters. And those with staying power are the ones written about in the books of history. These are the men and women who go on to shape the world. Now again, are we going to shape the world through land? I don't know. Maybe not. Probably not. But that same framework applies to anything that's worth doing in life. Anything that's exciting, this framework applies. I mean, Warren Buffett is worth $145 billion. That's a number that's like hard to even wrap your head around. It's such a big number. He didn't even cross the billionaire status level until he was 55 years old. That's crazy. The dude was investing since he was 11 years old. Talk about time in the game, right? That's ridiculous. Most folks will never come close to that level of staying power. That's absurd. Whether you like Warren Buffett or not doesn't matter. That staying power is ridiculous. Now, if we go back, I don't know the exact date and time. Who here is a Warren Buffett expert? Anyone? Some people love Warren Buffett. Like they just like put him on a pedestal. Anyone? No one? Okay. Somewhere here, I don't know the exact time frame, but somewhere I think it was in his 30s, he partnered up with Charlie Munger. If you could zoom in on that graph, and it's kind of crazy because the numbers get so big, I guarantee you that his net worth or the growth of their business skyrocketed once he had a partner in crime like Charlie Munger, right? And I'm sure there's a lot of other people behind the scenes in Warren Buffett's business, but they have camaraderie, they have companionship, and that's what I want in my business. And I want that beyond just having one other person. I want that with every person I work with. Like most of you in here, I spent a long time in this business without anyone around me. And then eventually I built a team. Problem was I followed everyone's advice and I hired a bunch of VAs in random countries, and so everyone lived, 5,000 miles plus away from me. And so there was no culture, there was no camaraderie. These were just strangers I would get on a Zoom with once a week. And I thought they were doing their work. I didn't really know. The business was kind of trending in the right direction, but I would dread getting on meetings with them. Does anyone dread getting on meetings with their team? Your team's not here, so I won't tell them. Does anyone dread that? Vernon? Vernon's honest. Who else? Come on, let's be real here. No one else. Yes? Anyone else want to be honest? I just don't believe that. Ryan? Yeah. We've all been there. And even today, my team, that's right. Hold on. Yeah, that's correct. And today, my team is still staggered all over the world. And honestly, again, if I could do it all over again, I would scrap this whole system. I would get folks that are local to me. The vast majority of my team would be local to me. But I've still tried to make it work. Every year, I go out of my way to try to spend time with team members, even if it relies on me traveling ridiculous distances to go see them. So I've kind of made it work, somewhat. And this is what's required, in my opinion, to still have a high level of culture in your business, even if your team lives really far away. That's me with cornrows. It was a phase. And cornrows and a mullet, let me clarify. I flew to the Philippines there, and I met up with two of my team members. That's Karen on the left, that's Aries on the right. Unfortunately, Karen's no longer with us. Both of them amazing team members. I love those people. In particular, that guy, Aries here. Anyone here interface with Aries? 7 Matt. What would you say about Aries? It's amazing. It always gets me emotional just looking at this picture. I love that guy so much. He's integral to our business. And I wish I could see him every day. I wish we could hang out. I wish we could go on runs together. I wish we could talk shop. But I can't. So I got to go travel all over the world to find these folks. Who here knows that guy? No one. That's Newman. Who here knows Newman? Yeah. Newman's amazing. Newman, talk about the nucleus of your business. That guy's the nucleus of my land business. I found him on a Reddit thread. It's awful to even say. The Reddit thread was called slave labor. It's terrible, and it's not even funny. But there's a VA Reddit thread that he was on. I'm like, dude, why were you on there? It's a terrible place to be hanging out. But I had a colleague that I had hired from the first job that I was at, and they had hundreds of VAs in that company that he was a VP of sales at. And so they used that for a lot of their hiring in the Philippines, oddly enough. So he had that bookmarked. He found Newman on there. Funnily enough, him and Newman were a terrible culture fit. He thought Newman was the worst. He's like, this guy's got to go. I ended up firing that guy and keeping Newman because I'm like, no, this guy's amazing. No shot where I'm getting rid of this guy. That guy has changed my life, has changed my business. I couldn't do what I do without him. And again, it gets a little choked up even thinking about it. So I flew him out to Bali at the beginning of this year. We spent a few weeks together riding motorcycles, doing fun stuff, doing water slides. Went to a water park. It's one of the best things ever. You got to take your team to a water park. It's hilarious. So funny. Who are those guys? That's Rylan, that's Ryan. I don't know what that look is on Ryan's face. Now, I don't actually work with Ryan, but he was in the photo. I'm super it's such a funny photo. No, I do feel so fortunate, though, that I get to hang out with people like Michael and like Rylan. And they're not in my land business, but it does mean a lot. And I go out of my way now to make sure that I can include people that I work with in the things that I do. I want to marry my life and my friends with my business. I want there to be no overlap. I want to do business with people, and I want to do life with people. And if you can find that, you're going to win. Fuck competition. You can't compete with that. That's ridiculous. There's all these little funny fly-by-night operations trying to copy Land Insights, and that's fine. They could try to copy the tech, but they don't have that. They don't have the camaraderie. That's how you win, in my opinion. Heck, I even created LIA partially just so I could have more friends and lands. And now we're all here together, just from that need of wanting more folks that I could talk shop with and hang out with. That's us doing a hike actually last year out in the Red Rocks. That was our first event ever. It's a good time. I see Liz in the background raising her hands. That was a good time last year. And I'll leave you with this. Verbum sapiente satis est. Any Latin experts in here? Anyone? Anyone know what that means? Any guesses? Damn, are you a Latin expert actually? Okay. Anyone want to just take a shot on what it might mean? Nah. A word to the wise should be sufficient. Now, we all like to learn the hard way, and that's fine, myself included. But I hope to God, if you're building a team or you have a team and you're hiring more people, take that to heart. Seriously. Like, work with amazing people, find amazing people, and get in close proximity to them. The show's not over that. I'm not going to leave you with that. We got more to cover, okay? All right, so let's assume you've now assembled a badass team around you. I'm going to make that assumption. And if you haven't yet, this will still apply to you. It might be a few months out from where you are, but that's okay. Congratulations. It's exciting. You've got a badass team. Now, how on earth do you manage them? Does anyone know how to manage a team? Has anyone ever taught you how to manage a team? No. And that's exactly what it feels like when you have people that you're working with. You're like, how the hell do I do this, dude? That's the awkward emoji. You're just like, I don't know how to do this. And I felt like that for a long time. And I still do in a lot of regards. One thing I want to say is, like, I do not have this shit figured out at all. I am very much a work in progress, and I went through the School of Hard Knocks to learn this. And so some of this could change 5 years from now. I could have some of this wrong. I'm just sharing what's worked for me right now. And we're going to go through the graveyard of failures that I have because there's a lot of them. And hopefully you can learn from those as well. Those 3 key areas we're going to touch on today. 1, Sumner's perfect meeting recipe. 2, the art and science of proper slacking. 3, the stupid simple daily report framework. Now, there's a lot more that goes into managing a team, obviously. But if you can get these 3 areas right, everything is a hell of a lot easier. Now, this is, in particular, it's a must-have if your team is remote. It's still important if your team is local to you. But I'm going to assume that most people here have an overseas team. This is do or die. If you don't get this stuff right, you're going to flounder. And I see a lot of folks that use these VA placement services or they hire a VA, and almost without fail, it almost always blows up in their face. Who here had that happen when you hired some folks and it just didn't work? Yeah, a lot. So common. And even if they found the perfect candidate, they use a credible placement firm that brought them a solid VA, it almost always blows up. And you start to wonder, well, who's the common denominator? It's probably you, right? Now, there are bad fits and there are bad hires, and we do make those as well. But more times than not, it's actually the operator that's ending that relationship. And oddly enough, literally no one teaches you about these things. I'm shocked. Why does no one talk about this? I love the music outside, man. It's so funny. It's just a subtle background noise. So we're going to start by breaking down exactly what a team meeting looks like within our land business. Now, this meeting is ran daily by our team leader, Newman. We do one every single day. It's a lot. This volume may be overkill if you have a tiny team, but at bare minimum, I believe you should be having at least one meeting per week. And as your team grows, the volume should scale accordingly, okay? If you have a remote team, there's a very high likelihood that you'll interface with your team on meetings more than any other communication format or channel. This literally means that the quality of your meetings will have a strong correlation with the quality of your culture. You could even say that the meetings are your culture. Like, if that's the only way you're interfacing with your team, what else do they have to go off of? And we're all humans. We need a compelling vision to work on. We need to feel inspired. We need to feel like we're a part of something. And so meetings really, really, really matter, in my opinion. And everyone likes to poo-poo them. People like to downplay them. Everyone hates meetings, and I understand it. But again, I think it's really important. This is how most people look at meetings. It's like, are you lonely? Tired of working on your own? Do you hate making decisions? Well, you should hold the meeting then. Right? That's why most meetings suck. You can see people, show charts, feel important, point with a stick, eat donuts, and maybe even impress your colleagues. But we're not here for that. That's not how we're going to run our meetings, okay? And without further ado, here's Sumner's perfect meeting recipe, trademarks and process. Seb, make sure you get started on that, okay? This is a good one. Need that trademarked after this event. All right, we're going to break it down. Each slide represents kind of the funnel of how the meeting is going to flow, okay? We're going to start with the meet and greet. I rotate between a handful of personal questions. What's something interesting you did this weekend? What's one thing you're excited about this week? What's one thing you could achieve this week to make your future self proud? What's one thing you're grateful for today? Now, you can steal those, but how you deliver them matters. When I ask those questions, look, I ask different questions. I'm just giving you a boilerplate to work off. When I ask those questions, I actually care about the response. I give a shit. I ask questions that I care about. My team can feel it. You could ask those questions and sound like a real dummy. So when you say it, mean it. But what I avoid at all costs, how are you doing? How are you doing is like the worst sentence in the English language. Because what does everyone say? Good. And maybe they get, how are you? And you say, good. And no one gets anything out of it. It's crazy. And I would ask you, next time you go to the grocery store, just practice this. When you're checking out, go out of your way to not say, how are you doing? Ask something that's actually meaningful that you care about. Right? I like that shirt. Where did you get it? Wow, you've got beautiful eyes. I wish I had eyes like that. I'm talking to you, Matt. Just go out of your way to ask things or say things that are actually genuine. And again, your team can pick up on that. So we typically spend about 5 to 10 minutes on here, and I am not afraid to shoot the shit. If anyone's inside of LIA, you guys know I'm not afraid to have a 5-hour call. I'll do it. And sometimes we do it. So sometimes these team meetings run long. I'm not here to be ultra efficient. I'm here to connect with my team. And so we'll go as long as it takes, but typically it's about 5 to 10 minutes. And I've created a culture where my team is not afraid to be real. Dude, I had a tough weekend. My mom got sick. I had a bit of an argument with my girlfriend. Just going through a tough day right now, man. Like, I want that culture. People are willing to open up and where we can actually work together and we can help one another. Because we're doing life and business together, right? It's not just business. This is life and business. 2, we move on to the honest assessment of where the business is at, what's working, what needs improving on, and a reminder on where we're looking to go. I suck at this. This is a hard one for me. I often need to remind myself of this because I do, in our land business, I run one team meeting a week on Tuesdays, and then Newman runs the rest. They follow a pretty similar format for the most part. And so again, I'm going to be really honest with my team. If the business is going through tough times, I'm not going to shy away from that. Like, let's be real. Now, I'm never, ever, ever, ever going to close this out on a negative note. I will always show them the light at the end of the tunnel. I'm always going to be really clear about, action items that we can use to kind of overcome whatever hurdle we're facing, and that I believe in them. I'm always going to instill my belief in them. But I'm not going to shy away from problems. If we're having a shitty month, I'll talk about it, right? I'm not going to beat around the bush. Talk about what needs improving on, and I'm going to be clear on where we're looking to go, right? Maybe that's quarterly, maybe that's annually, maybe that's just like some big grand vision in your business. We're not robots. Like, we can't just work with no end in mind. Like, there has to be something that we're working towards, I hear this a lot. I was talking to Matt about it when we were upstairs. Matt, I'll use you as an example. When people tell me where they want to be in the business, they never are clear. It's always like, I want to leave my job, man. I want to make some money. I need that clarity, right? And when we instill the clarity up there, I think that that goal feels a lot more real to you, feels a lot more meaningful. And so when you go back home, instead of missing those calls that come in while you're working your other business, maybe you take them now because you're really clear on the vision. It's the same thing for our team. When our team has a vision to work towards, they want to go above and beyond. We're goal-orientated. I just think that's the truth about humans. 3, acquisitions review. We start off with the acquisition team reviewing their current warm and hot leads pipeline. It includes discussing exit strategies, current roadblocks to get their deal signed, and a crystal clear breakdown of their plan of attack. That last point is really important. No one on my calls is bringing me half-baked information. It's not like, yeah, I got this thing, I don't really know. No, you're coming to me with a plan. It might not be the right plan, but you've had to think through that before, and you're bringing that to me, right? And I'll talk about this towards the end, but almost all of a good meeting boils down to the pre-meeting prep, and that involves everyone. So again, no one's coming to these meetings unprepared. Oh, I'm gonna pull up the CRM and I'm gonna show you. No. We're coming prepared, and you're coming with a plan. And that's the standard that I set, and we'll talk about standards as well. Same thing. My team's not bringing me leads. On these calls, they're bringing warm and hot folks that are somewhat qualified. They've at least talked to them on the phone, and ideally we've talked price. There's always exceptions to every rule, but for the most part, that's the standard that we've set, okay? Now on these, we want visibility so we can hold our team accountable, right? Without visibility, I don't know what the hell my team is doing, and they need to know that we all know what they're working on, so when we get on that next meeting, it's where are we at with Billy Bob's deal or whatever it may be. And so we can actually all chime in and help break down roadblocks on deals. I think that's really the value that I bring on a lot of the calls, is like there are things that maybe my team's not aware of, and so unblocking whatever blockages will be there, unburdening the burdens or whatever the hell Kamala Harris says. 4, transaction coordination and acquisitions. Review and discuss any standing issues with the acquisition deals that are currently in closing. Really simple, not really much to cover on there. 5, this is big, and I don't think anyone does this. We do an on-market review. We review current disposition listings and agree on any repricing that needs to be done. Now, important, our team brings listings that are underperforming to the call. This is not a full review of all our listings. I'm not going through every single listing reviewing them. They're bringing the underperformers. We're giving feedback on the marketing, where the listing's posted at, and if it needs to be repriced. I'm a freak about repricing. We reprice more than probably anyone that I know because it really matters. 6, transaction coordination on the disposition side. Same thing as on the acquisition side. I would say we run into more problems here. This is where more things come up for us, and so we'll unblock those together. 7, operations update. This doesn't always get hit on because it's not always relevant, but when relevant, we're going to share current or upcoming changes regarding SOPs, tool changes, and upgrades, okay? We've made 2 big changes in our business. Actually made a lot of changes, but 2 big ones that are relevant that were from last week. We're using a tool called Texting Betty, per Ryan's recommendation. Who knows what Texting Betty is? No? Who uses Follow-Up Boss here? Cool. Who hates the fact that Follow-Up Boss will only allow you to send 1 automated text? Anyone annoyed by that? So there's a tool, it's an add-on, it's called Texting Betty that Ryan showed me a couple weeks ago. It'll allow you to send unlimited automated drip text messages in there. It's $150 a month, right? It's just a bolt-on on top of Follow-Up Boss, super slick. I used to do it manually with like this Twilio integration. It was horrible. This automates all that for you. So we made that change, and we just added a dialer to our business, right? So 2 big changes that we're bringing to the table, make sure everyone's aware. Put a bow on it. Recap next steps, make sure everyone's aware of who's assigned to each action item. This is huge. So many folks have meetings and no one's clear on who's managing what. It's like we just covered 7 things to do, but no one's owning that. So we're really clear on who's owning what, make sure that we're all reading from the same book. Adios. Close the call on a positive note. We often go through hard times in our business, and I never shy away from this, but I also never shy away from vocalizing my belief in each team member. I'm never, ever, ever, ever going to end a call on a bad note. I'm never going to end a call on a pessimistic note. Quick hitters. Okay, these are things that didn't make it into the list because they're not super relevant, but these are quick hitters that I recommend everyone adopts. 1, all team members should have their camera on. Who here allows their team members to not have their camera on calls? Good. All right, have their camera on. Again, we're human beings. I need to see face-to-face, eye-to-eye, right? That's our culture in some extent. If your team's remote, that's your culture. 2, arriving late happens to all of us, but it must be communicated beforehand. I arrive late to calls. It happens, but I communicate. I make sure in Slack that everyone's aware. And if someone does that enough times, we're not going to be working together. I can't get past that. You have to communicate. 3, ideally team members should be stationary while being on the call. Again, sometimes I break these rules. Again, I'm not perfect, but ideally you're not taking a run or freaking on a trampoline or whatever. You're at your desk, you're taking the call, we're in one place, okay? Same thing for you in the office. You're not going to be doing backflips while you're in a meeting with us. Same thing here. 4, team members absolutely must come to the call prepared. Great meetings are simply a byproduct of pre-call preparation. 5, must handle public constructive feedback well. I'm never going to be an asshole, but I'm also not going to shy away from using our time wisely. If there's stuff that needs correcting, I'm going to bring it Now, there are things that are so big that they should be done in private, right? I'm not going to publicly shame people, be over the top. But if someone can't handle constructive feedback on a call well, probably not a good fit for us. But I'm also not going to waste my time having a trillion different meetings to address things that can be addressed publicly. And that's just the culture that I've set, and I'm clear on that. All right, who here knows what that is? Yeah, Slack. Good old Slack. Who here loves Slack? I love Slack, dude. It's a great tool. It's such a good tool. I honestly don't know what I would replace it with. Slack is amazing. All right, next is mastering Slack. Meetings are for culture and tackling big rocks, and Slack is for all the communication in between. Such a weird world that we live in, the fact that like that's how you run a business nowadays. Like it would be impossible for me to do what I do without Slack. Truly impossible. I'm going to show you guys all my Slack channels. I'll show you guys everything, how we have them set up. Disclaimer. Sometimes the best thing you can do to solve a problem is to get on an ad hoc meeting. Slack is great 90% of the time, but sometimes you just need to pick up the damn phone, okay? There are things that will get lost in translation trying to Slack people. Sometimes it's easier. Pick up the phone, get on a call with someone. It doesn't have to be like a fully set meeting. Just call them and handle it. So Slack is great, but there are times to not use it. My 6 do or die rules for Slack. 1, every person on my team is going to check in, check out, and announce any breaks. It's the same thing if we're in the workplace, right? I'm not trying to be a stickler, but I found if I don't have that structure, people try to start slipping through the cracks. They start doing some shady behaviors. When I put that into place, well, people seem to get a lot more done. So I make sure that that's done, and I do that as well. 2, if you're clocked in, your Slack icon should show active always. I look at this. I've had many, many people in the past that are, I don't know, Netflix and chilling or whatever, where they're not on Slack, but they've clocked in. And if that happens enough times, I've seen that without fail, someone's cutting corners, and they're going to be a bad fit for you, and they're going to be a problem in your business. 3, Slack is about speed. Messages should be replied to in 15 minutes or less. Again, these are all things that I set when people start working with us. I'm clear about this. And so you can't spring these on people and expect them to understand it. But this is part of our values, and I instill that in folks. Same thing, if you were in the office, I could walk up to you. I could say, John, hey, I got a question about a problem. You could answer it right then and there. I need that same speed in my business. I can't wait 6 hours for you to respond to a message about a title commitment, right? We've got to be quick with it. 4, use the Slack audio and video messages feature. I've learned the hard way. Brevity is key, okay? I've learned the hard way because I do this to people, and it's unfortunate, and it's not nice. I'm trying to get better at it. So no 45-minute videos, no 15-minute audio messages. I still do it. It's one of my worst mistakes. I'm sure Justin knows, Juan knows. It's a problem of mine. But I try to make sure that I'm trying to get better at it. I try to make sure my team does the same thing for me. And honestly, they're better at it than I am. That's the truth. 5, assume everything is worth an announcement. Nothing is too small to announce. Guys, part of your culture. Keep things fun. Keep things interesting. Every time there's a birthday or some kind of celebration or something, someone bought a new motorcycle, this deal got done or whatever, I'm announcing it. I'm keeping it fun. 6, keep the vibes high and make it fun. We're going to gamify work. I'm giving out spiffs. If you get 2 contracts by Friday, $200 bonus to the first person to do it. Keep it fun. It's a game. Ultimately, business is just one big game. If it's not a big game, it becomes pretty heavy and pretty intense, and it shouldn't be. Steal my Slack channel format. Who wants my Slack channel's format? Who wants to steal this? Anyone? Okay, cool. Now you guys can modify these how you like. I'll go through them. The names can change, but I'll tell you guys what each one means and what we use it for, okay? Top 1, acquisition cold email. New leads that come in through our cold email marketing, ping, they go in there. Second one, acquisition team Calendly bookings. When a prospect on the acquisition side books a call, we get notified in there. Next one, acquisition KPI report. Rylan mentioned this. I'm going to talk about this more later. Keep everything in one place. If your KPIs are 12 different places and you've got all these different communication channels, it gets really messy. So we keep everything inside of Slack for our land business. Next, acquisition leads. New leads come in. We get to see the source, where they came from, things like that. They pop into there. That's all through Zapier. Next is acquisitions. New contracts that go out and contracts that are signed, they pop into there. The BMLF lead inquiry. That's for acquisition leads that come from our acquisition website. Chatter, that's where we clock in, clock out, general chat, things like that. Email and docs needing review. Anything that needs review, that's a document, things that need signing, things like that. KPI sheet master channel. So we do have a shit ton of KPI sheets. We store them in there. Again, I would like to have them all in Slack. There's some things that are so intense that we couldn't have them in Slack, but we store them in there so everyone has access to them. They're all in one place. Leads needing attention on the acquisition side. Talked about this earlier. Every day I have someone spending about an hour a day inside of our CRM going through literally every lead. No lead slips through the crack. I look at the speed to lead on, well, I don't, but someone on my team looks at the speed to lead on everything, offers that we made, if we followed up based off of the action items that we've set, so for every lead that comes in, There's like an automated action item that goes through, and we set manual action items, as in, call Betty on Tuesday to talk about the offer. We make sure that those are being adhered to. And so this has been a game changer for us. I could talk about that on a separate, maybe on the hot seat tomorrow or something like that. But your team needs oversight. Your acquisition team is in the trenches. They're busy. So having someone watching over that, and we do it in a friendly manner. We're not here to pick people apart. Super helpful for our acquisition team. We get more deals because of it. Next, photography updates for properties that are being photographed. Property pricing update. Properties are being repriced. Properties to be listed. Things that are pending listing. Sales. Those are deals that have sold. Sales call review channel. Every single Friday, every AM on our team submits a sales call that gets reviewed. We have an AI sales trainer, and then we review them manually as well, and we provide feedback in that channel. That's every single Friday. With that, with our feedback, one of the things that we have in place is our team has to share their takeaways and what they're putting into effect next week. And the last one is sales offers. And actually, I'll give credit where credit's due. Ryan showed me the sales trainer. What's the tool that we use? The AI sales trainer? Built on top of, which one is it? Claude. We built it on top of Claude. I use the free version of Claude. Anyone can do it. What's really cool is you can tell it, hey, train like Zig Ziglar, or train, I use Chris Voss. I think Chris Voss is probably the most applicable sales strategy for land, in my opinion. So we train off of that, but we still manually review them because, of course, there's things that it just doesn't catch for land. Sales offers, anything that comes in that's an offer that goes inside there. Okay. All right, the KISS daily report framework. Keep it simple, stupid. Who here knows what that is? That is, I would get that tattooed on my body. That's how important that meme is. That is the best meme that's ever been created. I'll tell you guys why. That's called the midwit meme. This is life, dude. This is literally life. It's crazy how accurate this is, especially in business. What it says is that, everything has, in this business, a bit of a kind of a bell curve shape to it. And where you don't want to be is in the middle of the bell curve. You either want to be really stupid or really smart. That's the truth. Like in business, you want to be on one side, left curve or right curve. That's where you want to be hanging out. On the left curve, it says, if it's good, I do it. The middle of the curve says, no, you have to have complex reasons for what you're doing. What is the point? What is your goal? And the Jedi on the right says, if it's good, I do it. That's how I feel about our daily report framework, okay? See a lot of folks that have their team fill out 1 trillion different things. It just doesn't matter. It's like mental masturbation. I don't know why you guys are putting so much stuff here for your team to do. They're not going to adhere to it, and adherence is important to me. So like a lot of things in my business, I keep it really, really simple because it works. I don't overthink it, okay? Again, you can literally apply this to every part of the land business. All right. Our daily report needs to achieve 2 things. Super simple. 1, provide insight into what our team is actually working on with the goal of catching bad inputs before they turn into bad outputs. Most people play the game of catching bad things in their business via bad outputs. Oh, our revenue's down. We have a problem. Let me go fix it. Or we haven't gotten a contract in 2 months. What's going on? I need to fix this problem. I'm in the game of catching things via bad inputs. And I catch that by having visibility over what my team is doing. All right, does that make sense? When you're managing a team, you need visibility. So I can catch things like the verbal offers are down, the number of dials are down, new leads are down. I can catch those before they become problems, and I can pivot, and I can make adjustments. And just because you have a successful business does not mean that you don't have bad inputs. We have a crap ton of bad inputs. I just try to catch them really quick, and I shorten the curve to fix them. 2, provide a moment for our team to pause and reflect on their day and performance. If you don't create the container for the team to do this, odds are they won't do it. All right? Again, you're the leader. Create the space for them to be introspective. We all need to be introspective, but most of us just aren't going to do it on our own. And so that daily report is just a moment for them to reflect. And I'll talk about how we do that, okay? So first, let's talk about how we submit these. There's 3 that you can choose from. Pick one, okay? 1, dedicated Slack channel. 2, email. 3, Google Sheet. Again, I use Slack, so I keep it inside Slack. Daily reports get submitted inside Slack. Keep it really simple. The problem that I see is a lot of folks collect daily reports, and I used to be guilty of this, and you never look at them. It's like you get all these daily reports and you just never check them out because they're going to a place that you don't hang out in, like an old Google Sheet or an old email. Keep it inside Slack so you don't miss it. And nowadays, everyone that ends up in Slack, I don't miss, but things that end up elsewhere, I do miss. And there are things that still slip through the cracks in other businesses. All right, the daily report framework. Again, this is how we create the container for our team to be introspective. So the first thing that we're going to do is the quantitative side. Okay, that's how we're going to catch bad inputs before they turn into bad outputs. Next is the qualitative side, and this is where we create the container for our team to be introspective, and we can also draw correlations to help solve things for our team. Next is next steps and improvements. Last is the big win, okay? There are a lot of times when your team is going to have bad performance because they're going through shit in their life. And if you don't know that they're going through things, how can you be there for them? How can you be a leader for them? All right, it's not only about getting your business back on track. It's about the humanity of taking care of your people. And so you need insight. People aren't always going to bring that to you. And so we create the space for them to do that via a good daily report. All right, so this is an example from our acquisition team. The daily report could be amended for any role. The actual things that you track would be different on the quantitative side. The qualitative won't change much, okay? So you can carry this over to any role, make the adjustments for what's relevant. Here it is for our acquisitions. 65 outbound dials. Again, this is all the quantitative. 30 individual conversations, 3 new hot leads, 5 verbal offers, 2 contracts, 1 contract signed, $35,000 in pipeline profit added, okay? That's the quantitative. Boom, now we're gonna move over to this a little bit of quantitative, then we're gonna move into the qualitative. Effort score. So I have them rate their effort for the day in an honest feedback, 1 through 10, 10 being the best. They're at a 7 effort. Mood score, they're at an 8, same format. Sleep score is at a 6. Notes, had a few bad calls out of the gate. Again, this is where we get introspective, so we're gonna move over to the qualitative. Had a few bad calls out of the gate, was tripping over my words and was not clear how I presented my offers. Now, one thing too, I'll go back. You can start drawing correlations between this, right? Okay, well, you got bad sleep that night. Your effort was a little bit low. Maybe that's correlated to the sleep. So you can start to draw some conclusions there. But next, we're gonna move over to what they say are their next steps, okay? And this is where the magic really happens. Need to get back on my nighttime routine to bring my best self to work. Outside of that, I need to get myself in the right headspace before making my first round of calls. I tend to be really rusty out of the gate, and that can be improved by having a better pre-call routine. This is where I have a lot of feedback, right? I can come in and say, okay, cool. The pre-call routine, that seems super important because what's happening is you're not sleeping well, which again, we should solve that, but you're not sleeping well. You're coming into work, you're having a string of bad calls out of the gate, and then you're getting in your head. And then you have your day is shot from there. So yeah, let's build you out a pre-call routine to where before you get on the phones, you're getting sharp, you're feeling good. So the first few calls out of the gate, you're on fire. And even if you slept poorly, you're in momentum. And once you're in momentum, you're hard to be stopped, right? Again, I want to solve the sleep stuff. And again, I'm going to be there to solve those things. We all work together. I'm not going to shy away from that. But this is the magic right here. Next is the big win. All right, big win is relative to the day. It's the big win for the day. The big win could be like I ate 3 square meals today or whatever. Or it could be happy that I got Doug Smith to sign. We've been working that lead for 4 months now. Sometimes the big win isn't that big in the grand scheme of things, but I foster a culture of positivity. We're having fun. We're going to celebrate the small stuff, okay? One thing too, in this you'll find really interesting things that crop up. I've done weird stuff for the people that I work for in my land business. I've bought random gifts for their wives because I saw it in their notes, the things that they needed. I fronted the money for a guy to buy a new motorcycle because his transportation was messed up. I mean, you'll find things to where you can step up and rise to the occasion for your team. And that's where you build a team where folks want to go to war for you. Like they're in for life. Again, that's a team that you can't compete with. That's dangerous, in my opinion. And so you'll spot things to where you can rise to the occasion and be there for your team. And it's not always buying things for them. So I was just getting on the phone and be like, dude, what's going on? I walked one of my team members through a divorce and then walked him through getting back with her. It was crazy. I'll do that, right? I'll do that. All right, this daily report framework remains the same, but KPIs prompts will be adjusted given the role, okay? But please understand that your team will most likely initially have resistance to doing this, but it needs to be done every day. Should have put like a few more E's there. It needs to be done every day. I found that typically takes about 2 to 3 weeks for the habit to stick. If it doesn't stick beyond that, probably the wrong fit for you, okay? Every person I've ever put this into place with, always there's a learning curve for them to build the habit. It's tricky for them. Usually if it's not sticking, I'm going to have them put it on their calendar. So we'll put a block at the end of the day on their calendar. It's what Juan and I did together. Juan would put a block on their calendar. Never missed it since there. I don't think Juan's ever missed a day since then, right? Yeah. So yeah, there's a learning curve. People aren't going to be perfect out of the gate, but usually 2 to 3 weeks for it to stick. If it doesn't, you probably have other problems on your hands. All right, so there's 3 things that I think about here. 1, if you can't manage the small stuff, you don't deserve the big stuff. Who's ever heard me say that? That's actually a Sumner Healey original quote right there. Who's heard that? Someone? Juan, have you heard it? Justin? You heard it, yeah. So I don't know where this came up. I came up with this. It was just a download one day. And I think I came up with it because it was relevant to me because I dropped the ball on the small shit. How can I drop the ball on the small shit and still think I deserve the big stuff? The small stuff matters, and so I instill that in my team. Setting your daily report on time matters. Showing up to work on time matters. I believe how you do one thing is how you do everything. If I see the trash needs to be taken out, I'm taking out the trash. If I see the dishes there, I'm doing the dishes. Like, again, some people would say that would never make you successful, and maybe that's not true. I can only have my experience to speak off of. N equals 1. I don't have much data to go off of, but I really do believe managing and mastering the small stuff matters in the grand scheme of things. 2, standards flow down from the top. So if you're a dingus and your team believes that you wouldn't do this, they're not going to do it, right? So who you are as a person matters here. They need to feel like, yeah, this flows down from the top. Like he or she would actually do this, and I believe in them. And so you can't be cutting corners and expect your team not to cut corners as well. 3, sometimes it's easier just to move on, and that's a hard pill to swallow. Who here has hired someone that was a bad fit and let them stay in their business for way too long? Yeah. I have too. It sucks. Oh man, I've gone a year. Yeah. What's tough though is that you'll have folks that still produce, but they're a bad fit, right? It's so hard to let them go. The best thing that you can do for you and them, because it's not serving either one of you in most cases. You just got to move on. And so if none of this stuff is sticking, it's not working, and they're a bad culture fit, or they don't identify with the values that you've laid out, you got to move on. There's just no way that you can make that work in my experience. Either I suck at training people, or that's just the truth. I don't know. It's one of the two. And lastly, a brutally honest list of all my mistakes and failures as a leader. I hate that word. It's trite, it's cliche, but we're going to use it here today. And let me be clear. There's way more. This was what was relevant when I wrote this week. Okay, this was top of mind for me. There's many other mistakes that didn't feel relevant at this time. Second thing is I will continue to make mistakes. You never cross this hump and never make mistakes. I think I probably make more mistakes than most people in here. I just make a lot of mistakes. I make a ton of them, huge volume of them, and I learn from them. But I make a ton of mistakes. And you ask anyone that I work with, they'll say, I make a lot of mistakes. It's true. I'm okay with that. But I'm not okay not learning from my own mistakes. That's unacceptable to me. And so I study myself. I study my mistakes, and I look to improve from them. So here's my list. And this is probably my worst, this is my cardinal sin. This is probably my worst trait as someone to work with. Delivering feedback via a nuclear warhead opposed to the sniper approach. Who's ever felt a nuclear warhead? Anyone ever felt that? Yeah, even inside LIA, you've probably felt the nuclear warhead. I just go too deep, too fast, too much information, overwhelming, way too intense. And I'm not nuclear warhead in terms of being aggressive. It's just I want to get this shit solved now. So I'm going to throw every single thing I've got at it, and we're going to get it solved right now. People don't like that. That doesn't resonate with folks. It's overwhelming. And so what I need to be is more like a sniper. I need to pick off problems when they arise one at a time. And that leads into number 2. I frankly spread myself way too thin, and the byproduct is I'm not able to give enough attention to the folks that are in my team across the board. I don't know what the remedy is for that. I'm not going to quit the things that I'm doing, but it's a problem for sure. And so that leads to me not being able to be the sniper because I don't have the time in each business that they deserve to pick off those problems when they come up. And so unfortunately, there have been situations where I let them build and accrue, and I go nuclear in terms of trying to solve them. I try to solve them way too fast with way too much information, and no one likes it. 3, letting amazing performance slip through the cracks without celebration and proper financial reward. Who's ever done that? Amazing people on your team, didn't recognize them, didn't pay them what they were worth, even if it was outside of their comp plan, maybe a bonus, a spiff, or maybe changing their comp plan. I've learned my mistake there. There's an amazing guy, that guy Aries on that first slide I showed you in the Philippines is a perfect example of that. We just doubled his salary and tripled his comp plan because I waited so long to do it, and that guy deserves every dollar coming to him. And he literally just had his biggest payday last week from one deal. I think he made like $2,500 in commission from one deal. He's not an acquisition manager, right? He runs the back office of our marketing, but I gave him a fat comp plan because he deserves it. 4, being too patient with bad apples, much like I said on the last slide, waiting around for folks to somehow get better. Newsflash, they never get better. Once they're bad, they're pretty much bad. And it doesn't mean they're a bad person. They're just a bad fit for you and your business. And you need to move on. 5, swinging from the extremes of no one can do it as good as me to you figure it out on your own. And I think the truth lies somewhere in the middle there. Who's ever been in one of those camps? Yeah. No one can do it as good as me. In the beginning, it's like, I can only do it. So you step in and get in the way of your team's development, and you try to do everything yourself. Well, that's not good for anyone. And then you swing, at least if you're like me, you swing to one extreme where it's like, fuck it, you figure it out, kicking you into the deep end. What you should do, don't put them in the deep end, bring them into the shallow end and swim to the deep end with them, and then say, cool, you got it from here, you go swim, you go figure it out. All right, do not kick people into the deep end, and do not get in the way of folks doing their own swimming, okay? They don't need a swimming partner where you're on top of them. That's ridiculous. Somewhere in the middle. 6, addressing performance issues via Slack. This should always be done on a call, as I mentioned before. Don't do it. It's not worth it ever. 7, assuming every person thinks like me. No one thinks like you, right? You should assume otherwise. And that's actually a beautiful thing. You want folks that don't think like you. You want diversity in thinking and how folks look at problems in your business. But I falsely assume that, like, why are you not looking at this how I am? And being critical of people for that when I should value them for the difference in opinion that they bring to the business. And that's valuable within itself. 8, not having the proper ratio of positive and negative affirmation. This is really hard for folks to figure out, and it's hard for me to figure out for a long time. Everyone that you work with, there has to be some boundary. There is a line that when it is crossed, there's a negative effect, there's a consequence. There has to be a boundary there, and some folks don't know how to keep boundaries. Who here has ever felt like they don't know how to, like, draw that boundary with their team? You let bad behavior happen for a long time, or folks do things that are inappropriate. Who's ever felt that? Matt, you felt that? Anyone else ever felt that? Cool, yeah. Alternatively, some folks never celebrate the positive, right? You never give your team the positive accolades that they should have. So for me, I think the ratio is about 85 to 15, right? 85% of the time, it's all positive, but there is a time for the negative. There is a time to draw that line, and it's honestly in everyone's best interest. 9, not addressing problems head on fast enough, being stupid and waiting. It's always dumb. Don't wait. Solve it now. It's always in your best interest. 10, trying to be a manager opposed to a leader. Very two different things, and they get married together. Usually if you're good at one, you're not good at the other. Now, there's a time that you have to wear both hats, potentially, sure. But usually if you're managing, you're not leading, and vice versa. So something is being compromised. And so not everyone's cut out to be one or the other. Sometimes you need a visionary or an integrator. People love using that terminology. And I think it is true, right? And so if you feel like, hey, I'm good at the leading, I'm horrible at the managing, you need to bring someone in that can compensate for you. What's interesting is in my land business, I have this figured out. We've got the perfect yin-yang dynamic, if you will. But in other businesses, I don't have that figured out yet. So again, it's something that I'm still learning, but I think you need that counterbalance. Oh, goodness gracious. There's not a slide for this, but closing thoughts. Do I have anything after that? Oh, I do have some thoughts. I'm going to talk about this first. Closing thoughts. 1, learning to organize people and lead is one of the highest ROI skills you can develop as a human, even outside of business. And frankly, I'd say it's probably the best skill you could ever develop, straight up. Can anyone think of a better skill than that? Think about anything that's impressive that was ever created. Was it ever built alone? Did anyone build the pyramids alone? No. Did everyone ever build the Eiffel Tower alone? No. Hoover Dam? No. Like, there's nothing that was built alone. And we need organization within groups of people. Otherwise, it's fucking chaos. Right? This whole, like, egalitarian thing within a business doesn't really work. But there needs to be someone that's here and someone that's there. Like, there has to be some kind of assembly line or order to things, and there needs to be some oversight. That's not a bad thing. That's not like you're putting people down. There just needs to be that counterbalance, and we need to play to people's strengths. 2, most founders suck at this out of the gate. But the good news is they can be learned like anything else. I find that most founders suck at building teams. They suck at having culture. It's not their strong suit. So maybe you need someone to counterbalance, or like me, you just learn it, right? Who felt like this was maybe a little bit overwhelming, all of this? Was it like a little overwhelming, or does everyone feel like, no, I got this? Everyone feel good? Overwhelming? Good? Well, what I was going to say is I had none of this stuff figured out of the gate. The one thing that I did have is that I love people and I love working with people. So I had that. But the actual technical abilities, no, I didn't have any of that. I even got it tattooed on my neck right here. It says persistence, because I'm a persistent MFer. That's the only, I mean, like, that's it. I'm just persistent, so I stuck around to learn this stuff. And so if this feels overwhelming or this feels daunting or you don't know where to start, that's okay. You'll take it one step at a time and you will figure it out if you just stay in the game. Like anything else, you just got to stay in the game. All right, guys, I think that's all I got. Thank you, everyone. We'll take some questions. All right, questions? What's up? Okay. Well, they can wait. We'll take some questions, and we're going to hang out with some fire dancers. Who's got questions? Who want to raise their hand?
So when you give feedback to someone, is it done, feedback that's, I wouldn't say negative, but is it done in a group setting or is it done one-on-one?
How negative are we talking?
Middle of the road. They're not
Okay.
awful, but they need to be kind of
Yeah.
addressed. Okay.
I'll give you an example. So we have a guy in our business that I think we're kind of on the out with. We're transitioning out. It's in our land business. There's a lot of issues that really speak to all the things that I touched on here in terms of values that aren't being adhered to. Well, there's a common issue that's been happening where his underwriting is just super wacky and he's like way too, I guess, optimistic with the offers he's giving to sellers, but I think it's because he relies on double closing too much. And so he doesn't want to have the uncomfortable conversation with the seller. So instead of doing that, he says, I'll just give you more money and we can double close it. So it's like, well, okay, we're going to make $7,000 on the deal. Yeah, it's not a loss, but I see a path to where we could have made 20. Like, you just had to make a better offer and sit in that discomfort longer. So that's the kind of thing that I'm 100% going to have that conversation open. And I've had that conversation with him dozens of times, and I'll tell him, I said, hey man, we've gone through this a few times. What needs to change here? Because what I feel like is I think you're having a hard time with sitting in that discomfort. Is that true? And then we'll kind of riff on it, right?
Yeah.
Now, if it's extreme gravity, as in you're being let go of, of course we're going to keep that in a private setting. I would say for most things, though, I think the delivery matters more than anything. I just deliver. I try as much as I can to deliver in a way that's gentle, right? Like, we have a thing inside our business that we talk about radical honesty, but I deliver it like a wet wipe on a baby's bum. Like, it's so soft, so delicate. But I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not going to beat around the bush. But I'm going to try my hardest to be really gentle in how I deliver it. So the choice of words matter. So I'd say most things happen on a team call, to be honest. Okay. That's kind of the culture that we've set. And if someone's not down with that, they're probably not the right fit. But extreme stuff, it'll be private. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. Thank you. All right. Who else got questions? Over here.
Hey, what do you look for during hiring?
Oh, man, for what role? Or in general? Any role?
Just in general. When you're looking at somebody, your interview process, what do you look for?
Yeah, there's two things that I think about. One, I always say, and if you're inside of LIA, you hear me say this all the time, I hire for soft skills and I train for the hard skills or the technicals, right? So the soft skills matter for me. I guess there's more than two. So like in the acquisition role, I use that as an example because everyone does it. I'm looking for, like, do you have the raw characteristics for someone that's down to hang out and talk with folks and have hard conversations? Because if you like that, training on the technicals is easy. But a lot of folks, they get lured into like, well, they have the technical ability, they work for a wholesaler, or like they have some experience, or they can talk the shop and land, but they're not built out on the soft skill side of things to actually like enjoy that, right? So I look for that. I look for folks, again, that are going to enjoy the work. Like, there are folks that get energy from having intense conversations with strangers. They love that. They say, fuck you, we're gonna beat each other up on this call, and I'm gonna go back and forth on an offer. Some folks, they're zapped after that. They're done for the day. So again, people will fool you to kind of pretend like, yeah, I'm a good fit 'cause they want to get paid, especially in the VA world. There's folks that just want to take the job. They're in between jobs. It's been 3 months since they've been hired. They'll tell you just about anything to get in that role. And so you got to be careful not falling for that. I look for who you are outside of work. And so I ask weird questions like, the obvious ones, what do you do with your free time, yada, yada, yada. But what's the meaning of life for you, right? Like, what do you care about in life? There's a great question that I learned from Peter Thiel, which is, what's one thing that you believe in that most people would call you crazy for? Like, do you have strongly held beliefs? Like, do you believe in something? And so I look for folks that have high character. And beyond that, I look for folks that I would actually enjoy hanging out with. Because, God, we're going to have way more fun. I don't care if you're a top-tier performer. If I hate hanging out with you, it's just not going to work. I won't be the right fit for you. And so there has to be some overlap. Sometimes that's overlap in lifestyles or hobbies or what we care about. Or sometimes there's just a connection. Like, it's just folks, you just vibe with them. Even if you could be radically different. Like, Newman and I could not be any more different. But how we communicate with each other, just like, it's a perfect match for us, right? I'm trying to think if there's anything. Huh? Have you ever, well, I guess, the person that you hired recently, right, was an acquisition manager, yeah? How do you feel when you leave those calls? How do you feel when you leave the calls with them?
No, pretty good.
Pretty good? Do you feel better than how you started? Neutral, worse?
Most of the time better.
Okay, cool. That's probably a good signal. I don't know exactly how to describe it, but there are calls that you leave where you're like, damn, I feel good. Like our Land Insights call every week. Riley, I don't know how you feel, but I always leave that energized. I'm excited. Yeah, we have similar values and beliefs, but also just how we communicate. It's just a good match. Like, you could have the perfect partner, but if you guys can't speak the same language and communicate, it's just not going to work. So I don't know how else to describe it other than how do you feel when you leave that call? Yeah. Dennis, question?
Yeah, so I've like hired, I've laid off and hired a bunch of people.
Yeah.
Hundreds of people, all my businesses. I'm just curious, from your perspective, how do you typically hire?
Yeah.
Like a single individual kind of thing?
Yeah, single individual in terms of, what do you mean? One call or with groups of people?
Like, how do you do it? What do you, how do you present it to them? Like, let's say you and what's
Yeah.
your go-to, like, how do you get
Yeah. I don't know if I have it all figured out, to be honest. It's still fucking uncomfortable. I hate it. It sucks. All of those things. Yeah. I just get straight to it. I'm not going to beat around the bush. A lot of folks like, let me make this compliment Sam. It's weird. It doesn't resonate. Just fucking beat to the punch. Now, I'm always going to end with something, again, positive. How can I help you find another job? Do you need a recommendation? In fact, I might have someone that you might be a good fit for. I don't want to leave folks high and dry. I feel like a responsibility to make sure that they're taken care of no matter where they go next. I'll give you a video testimony, whatever. And I'll say, are you open to any constructive feedback? And if they're not, I don't need to give it. It's not really relevant. But if they're open, I'll say, hey, these are the things that I feel like that we weren't a good match on. Maybe you need to find someone with that resonates, or maybe these are things to think about improving for your next role. And so I think that feedback can be life-changing, but they have to be open to it. Otherwise, I just think it falls on deaf ears. So, question? Oh, question? Yeah.
Yeah. Within the context of daily reports, I still make offers on about 10% of leads that come in. And I'm curious if you would recommend or not recommend that I share KPIs with the team as far as what I'm doing.
Well, let me ask you this. Why would you not share them?
I don't necessarily have a good answer, but there isn't a lot of depth that I would necessarily provide, and I'm not sure that I'm looking for feedback from the team.
So you mean
as far as
submitting
what
your
I'm
own
doing.
daily report?
Correct.
Gotcha. Okay, I took it different. I thought you meant like not sharing KPIs with them as if you were hiding deals or revenue. No, I don't think you need to be doing that. I think that's silly, to be honest. I think you're justified in not sending in a daily report. I mean, you should get to the point, ideally, where you have folks that are empowered to take that stuff on their own, and maybe like there's a time to still chime in and hop in. But that's probably a short-term thing, and less of a long-term thing where you're always taking this call. So I don't think so. Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, of course, man. Yeah.
Hey, so first of all, I just want to say I've only been with you guys for 2.5 months. My first mailer that went out was only like 1,000.
Yeah.
I got 6 contracts.
Wow. Okay.
I mean,
Hot diggity dog.
did everything you said.
Wow.
Anyway, so what happened was my oldest son, who lives in Puerto Rico, he is a virtual wholesaler for houses. His acquisition, he has an acquisition guy that moved to be there with him. And all of a sudden, my son Christian watches me, and he's like, oh my gosh, I'm just going to take all my Google ad money. And so he and I are partners. My question is to you, though, and he's an awesome acquisition guy. He got 2 of my contracts. He was in the car sales business, and I was there in Puerto Rico, and I was listening to some of his calls. And maybe it's just because I'm from South Carolina. Sometimes he seems a little too slick for the South.
Yeah.
So how do I broach that with him?
Yeah. It's tough.
Because in different regions, you can't.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's my.
What I would say too is, what do you say? Yeah.
What'd they say?
Yeah. A couple of things I would say. First off, I think the vast majority of people we deal with in this business are almost representative of the demographic in the South. Like those values carry over to almost all the folks that we deal with. So that super slick car salesman usually doesn't resonate. You want like the good old boy, you get old school values, you listen, you're not super duper polished, it's a genuine conversation, there's a real human connection. What Dennis talked about is Chris Voss, which there's a lot you'll learn or he'll learn from Chris Voss. But one of those is just mirroring and getting really good at asking questions. Like if you look at most of our calls, a good call, we're talking about 30% of the time, and we're just lobbing up softball questions to them. And we just get them talking, make them feel comfortable. We learn about their property, their situation, and we suggest options. Hey, this is what we could do for you. You kind of take it or leave it. Take your option, or don't. That's fine. I have never found a good deal where we force someone to make a decision. So honestly, not saying that he couldn't change, but that vibe is probably a bad fit for land. But he could certainly change. So Chris Voss would be a good one. Never split the difference. I would talk to your son about it, though. Maybe he's just not the right fit, and that's okay.
I don't know. He's pretty driven, and when you watch him, he's like, he thrives off of it.
Yeah.
So, and he's very upbeat. I just feel like I need to take it down a little bit.
Yeah.
Probably need to go to Puerto Rico again in a couple weeks.
Yeah, that's okay. That sounds not too bad. Yeah, I mean, that to me is almost erring on a technical skill. It's like a different talk track for lands. So it certainly could be learned. But there are some folks that are literally too charismatic for the phones. There's too over the top. So whether that's his personality or not, I don't know. I found that style is more true in the wholesale space, though. The high pressure, we're close, we get this thing signed right now. I don't know, for whatever reason, that's just not really land. But yeah, I would give him 30 days to see how he does. Cut him loose on a few old leads and just see how he shapes up. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not asking this for any specific reason, but I'm just genuinely curious. Yeah. Over your time, you've built such a cool land investing community, changed a lot of people's lives. Like, this business is truly such a cool niche, but I'm just curious, through your school of hard knocks or anything you can think of specifically, what's the absolute worst land deal you've ever done?
Oh, man.
Littlest profit or loss or anything you're willing to share.
Yeah.
What's the worst deal you've ever done?
Yeah. Probably a recent one, honestly. I think I've talked about this before. Matt knows. It was a goddamn entitlement deal. I won't dance with that partner for a while. It was a terrible deal. Was it the worst from a financial loss standpoint? No, but the time, energy, resources, and I think the expectations made it feel like just an absolute gut punch. So it was a deal that we were working on for probably all said and done, 8 months. I don't remember all the specifics on it. I think it was 55 acres in Augusta, Georgia. We're going to take it down to like 140 lots, something like that. We did so many things wrong. We didn't start with the end in mind. We didn't have the builders lined up. We didn't know the product that they wanted. So we brought lots via paper lots that were too big for them. Oddly, I didn't think it was a big deal. Like, we're talking about like a third of an acre, a quarter of an acre, but they wanted like 5,000 or 6,000 square feet. They weren't going to buy anything beyond that, which seemed like a non-issue to me. So like, we need more density, we need smaller lots. So we're weighing our options. I find this guy out of Florida who's like a entitlement pro. Actually, Arturo connected me with him. Yeah, there you are. What's his name again? David? David Hansen. Great guy. He like went above and beyond to help me out. Had like an hour-long call with me. He's like, oh, dude, all you got to do. And then he was doing a 3,000 lot entitlement in the same city at the time. So he's like, oh, I got it down pat. But he's like, but your math is way fucked up. Like, your math is not math. And he's like, you're not going to make as much as you thought you're going to make. But he said, what you got to do is this open space kind of allowance thing. If there's 40% open space, you can increase your density. We already had like 25% of the property that was open space because it wasn't buildable. It had a weird topo. So we could go double our lot count by just opening up more space to it. It wasn't a clean double, but it was close to double, and we'd have the right lot size, and then the math was going to pencil. I think we were going to get about $10,000 to $12,000 per paper lot. We were buying it for $305, and we're going to have like $175,000 entitlement costs. So we go down that rabbit hole. We're pretty much at the finish line, but we find out the road that we're going to use, they did a traffic study. You can't put as many cars on there. It's not going to work. So you're going to need access off of a main road. There's like a main small little local, I guess, highway, if you will, that was like, I don't know, maybe like quarter of a mile away. There's one big lot that was vacant that touches our lot and touches that road. So I'm like, cool, let's go find that guy. So we find this guy. He lives in South Carolina. It was so hard to reach. It took like a month to find him. We find that his property is actually listed on LoopNet. Been up for 5 years. He was asking like $600K for it. So we go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. He was like, I'm not going to take more than whatever, $450. That wasn't going to work for us. So we ended up getting him down to like $215 or $220, and the math was going to work out. It was a commercial lot too, so we could have sold a part of it off. Like, the deal was looking sweet. And then we're at the closing table. We're like 3 days away from closing on the main property. We had been doing this all the whole time while we were under contract. Seller's getting antsy. He's like, you need to close, otherwise I'm backing out. And I remember talking to my acquisition manager. I'm like, dude, I just have a bad feeling about this deal. And it's not his fault, but I got sucked into it because he had so much time in the deal. I wanted him to get paid. So I'm like, fuck it. I'll go against my best judgment. We'll just do the deal. I mean, this guy had put in hundreds of hours into this project. So we find out that guy's backing out from that second lot that we needed. So we couldn't do the open space. We could only rezone it, but to rezone it was going to be a 2-year process. So we're like, fuck, all right, we're not going to do this. So we ended up putting up on market. We finally sold it. Took a long time, probably took 4 or 5 months to sell the thing. And we sold, all said and done, I think we sold it at like $385, $395, something like that. We were in $305 for the property, and then like a little over $10,000 for the initial engineering work. So like not a big L. We made a little bit of money, but we had people's money on the deal. Matt was involved in the deal. It sucks to drag people through what's going to be this grand slam that turns out to be neutral at best. You know what I mean? And just a heartbreak. And I think denying my best judgment. I knew. And you build a sixth sense in this business where like when you know, you know. And most times it's right. And I should have just listened to that. So.
With that answer, that brings me to more positive
Yeah.
That's the worst thing that's happened to you.
Yeah, it's not so bad, right? And I've had deals that we've broken even on. I've had deals that we've lost like a couple $1,000 on. Nothing major, you know. But I bought in a lot of crazy deals. And maybe next year what I'll do is I'll show all the weirdest, worst deals I ever bought. I was buying stuff that was just outlandishly bad. So, anyways, more questions, guys? All right, we're wrapping it up. Sarah's saying we'll do one more. Yeah. Yeah, I do want some folks. We've got Rylan temporarily coming out there. We've got Coach temporarily coming out there. So maybe we're kind of forming something that's happening. But I'll let you know. Truly local. I mean, look at within like an hour or two's drive, I think. Something to where meeting up once or twice a week isn't unreasonable. I would hire. I mean, look, there are roles that just don't make sense, right? There are roles that would be crazy. But what I found is like for an acquisition manager, which is the lifeblood of your business, for sure I'd hire local. So we pay our acquisition manager, and we pay him a good amount, $30,000 base salary per year. 10% that kicks up to 15% based off of annual goals. So he's making 10 to 15% at the end of the year on gross profit. That's a really cushy job. He can make great money doing it. If you have a great AM overseas, you're probably paying them $2,500 a month, maybe $2,000 a month. So that base salary is not far off. They're going to be a 1099 for us. So I'm not doing healthcare and all that stuff. You will pay more on comp, but that's on cash collected, so I don't really care. And if you're going after bigger deals, there is a noticeable difference between overseas and US for sure. So the real hit is to your cash flow every month from the salary, and it's just not that extreme. Now, if you're just getting started, maybe you don't do that. There's a lot of people in here that I've worked with to hire interns. That's a great option. Find someone local. Find someone that you say, hey, I'll pay you 7.5% or 10% on the deals you bring. No salary. You work local to me. Go hire 5 of them. 3 will fail. 2 will stick with you. Maybe 1 you offer a job with. That'd be my recommendation. Now, if you live in a tiny town, that's definitely like a limiting factor. And maybe you can't work past that. I'm kind of assuming you live in somewhat of like a major-ish metro. So if you're in like the middle of Oklahoma, it might be tough. So maybe you have to move. And if you really, look, if you have roots tied and family and children, I understand that's ridiculous. But when you look at someone like Rylan, like if you're getting started in this business and you don't have much tying you down, just go savage mode. Like go crazy. Go move in with a bunch of strangers that are doing the same thing as you. Lock yourself in a room and just grind. Like it'll pay off. If you do that for 2 to 3 years, your life will be unrecognizable. Not everyone can do that, I understand, but sometimes it calls for extreme moves like that, in my opinion.
Hey guys, I want to let you know that inside of LIA, that is our 12-month group coaching program, we have added a 6-figure guarantee. That's 6 figures in gross pipeline profit in 12 months, or we will work with you until you get there. Now, that is not a guarantee that you will hit 6 figures in pipeline profit in 12 months. No, that is a guarantee that we will get you there no matter what the timeline is. Might happen in 3 months, might happen in 6 months, might happen in 24 months. The guarantee is you get to plug into our system, which is essentially a business in a box for land flipping, and we'll scale you to 6 figures together. And if we don't do it in 12 months, we will work with you for free until you get there. There is no offer out there that provides a guarantee like this. Will it be challenging? Absolutely. Will you be tested? Absolutely. But if you think you've got what it takes and you're ready to build a business that changes your life in 2024 and beyond, I want you to go to landinvestor.co/apply.